Hi everyone, Thomas Hyman here, founder and CEO of Realty Partners, and today's training session is on how to use virtual domains in your real estate business. And this is something that is applicable and usable regardless what company you're with and what IDX solution you are using. Our company uses the Commissions Inc. solution for our agents, so that's the website that I'm working with here. But if you have a different IDX solution, maybe Boomtown or AgentJet or Zerpol or Conversion, doesn't matter. It works exactly the same way. If you have an IDX solution, then you really have a very, very powerful tool at your fingertips. And I found that most agents, even within our company, which is why I'm doing this recording, don't really fully understand what they can do with their IDX solution and how you can utilize multiple domain names and subdomain names to promote yourself very, very effectively. And so I'm going to go through that here and give you some examples for how to use it as well as how to set it up. So here's our website. Bradenton and Sarasota Homesearch.com is the main domain name that we're using here because this is the market area that we're in. Find homes in Bradenton, Lakewood Ranch, Sarasota, Venice. And so this is the corporate site. And we also have a domain name called realtypartners.com. And if you look here, this is exactly the same site, but it's linked to realtypartners.com. Now, this is still a corporate site. So if somebody searches for a property here and registers as a lead, then it goes into the company lead pool and then it's distributed round robin to agents. And of course, if you're working as an agent, you want to use your own domain, your own virtual domain. And so I'm going to take you through how that works and what that looks like and how you can use multiple domain names. Even if your site is set up with one domain name already, let's say BradentonSarasota was your URL, and you had a website with Boomtown, let's say, and that's your URL that you're using, the non-branded site URL, which is optimized for search engine. You can still use multiple additional domain names in your marketing, so you don't just have that long domain name that really is most useful for search engine optimization, Google advertising, and the likes. So by default, we assign a subdomain site to every agent, and most companies work the same way. So I'm just going to take one of our agents, Barbara, and I'm going to type in her subdomain URL. So this is barbara.bradenton and sarasotahomesearch.com, which is her subdomain. And now anything that happens through this site, through this URL, through this subdomain is linked to her. So if somebody searches for a property now and registers as a lead, it would be automatically assigned to her. It goes straight into her CRM. She automatically gets a lead notification. So this is not going to some other agent or into some kind of round robin. And so obviously Barbara would want to promote this site. Now the challenge is it's a very long URL. Barbara.bradenton and sarasotahomesearch.com. You're not going to fit that on your business card. You're not going to put it in, tell a client on the phone, go to my website at barbara.bradenton and sarasotahomesearch.com to, look up our current listings. So Barbara has a domain name. Her main domain name is hemingwayrealtor.com. And so this is hemingwayrealtor.com, and let me reload it so you see it's actually loading her site. And when you go to About, for example, on our main page you would have all the agents here, but here it's only Barbara, so it has her information here, and you can click here to contact her and send her a message. And anytime you click around in here, it continues to have her information on here. So let's say somebody wanted to find out about agent opportunities with Realty Partners. It's still her site. It's still coded in. Also home evaluation, if somebody wanted to look up a home evaluation, it's still part of our HemingwayRealtor.com site. But I want you to take a look at it. You see here still just the URL HemingwayRealtor.com. Let me go back to Barbara's subdomain site. And if you look at the URL here and I go to About, you see that there is, additional information in the URL. When I click on home evaluation, it's still in Barbara's site, so she obviously gets the credit as part of her subdomain, but it has a lot of additional information in here. And I'm going to get back to that in a little bit, because it's very important for your public marketing. You want to use your domain name or multiple domain names, but for some things, if you want to promote it, let's say on a Facebook ad, and you just copied and pasted this URL, well, guess what? It's going to go to the home page. It's not going to go to the home evaluation page. So if Barbara wanted to promote the home evaluation page on Facebook, and let's say, put a link on Facebook and then boost it or run some kind of ad, then she would use this URL here, barbara.brakeman@homesearch.com/home-value/value, and she could just copy and paste it. Likewise, when you build complex property searches, the same thing holds true. And again, I'm going to go back into that in a little while. So, but the main thing here is Barbara has her domain and it points to her site. And whenever somebody clicks around in it, it's always going to say HemingwayRealtor.com. And that's her main domain. But now Barbara could have multiple domains. I registered many, many different domains for Realty Partners to use in marketing. And, just like I can do it for the company side, you can do it as an agent. Actually, these are domain names that I have had many, many years and used when I was working as an agent many years ago when I had my team. One of them is, for example, Sarasota-MLS.net. I've had this domain name for many, many years. And if I go here and click on it, I linked that domain name to a pre-configured search of all the homes for sale in Sarasota. By default, it's list highest to lowest. You could, revise it and change it around to lowest to highest. But this is the search that I point this domain name to. So anytime somebody goes to Sarasota-MLS.net, it's always going to go to the homes for sale in Sarasota. And likewise, if I have one for Manatee, so I can go to ManateeMLS.net, and I have pointed this domain to homes for sale in Manatee. So you can take that as far as you want, and there are two ways to do that. One way is to register multiple domain names, and you can have domain names also go back to your main page. For example, I have a domain called SRQ Realty Partners, srqrealtypartners.com, and that is just going back to our main homepage. So you can create multiple domain names and have them point all to your main page. So you could have, GulfCoastExpert.com and GulfCoastCondosForSale.com and GulfCoastHomesForSale.com or GreatGulfCoastDeals.com. Your creativity really is the only limitation, and you can decide, do I want to point these to my site, or which would be your subdomain? So if you were Barbara, you would point them to your barbara.brakeman@sarasotahomesearch.com or whatever it is, for your case on your domain. Or you can point it to a subpage, So if you want to promote yourself as having a number of different sites with different content, the way to do that is to create either subpages on your website for a community and then point there, or create searches and then point your domain there. So, for instance, and I'm going to show you how to build a search, and then I'll go into the domain detail, how to configure your domains to make it work. But let's say, for example, you had, just something easy like Lakewood Ranch Homes for Sale. Now, we already have a pre-configured search link down here on our side. So let me go to Barbara's main page. You know, we're acting, she's an agent. And let's find Lakewood Ranch. Lakewood Ranch homes for sale. And so you see here's this URL, and we can just then copy the URL, copy it, and you know, you paste it, and it would take you straight to the search. As a matter of fact, Barbara did create something as a subdomain, so she didn't register a separate domain. She didn't say, you know, Sarasota AmazingHomesForSale.com, but she created a subdomain, Sarasota.HemingwayRealtor.com. So this is a subdomain underneath her HemingwayRealtor.com, and she's just pointing that straight to the home search that is set up, homes for sale in Sarasota, which is just like my you know, SarasotaMLS.net, but it is registered to her. Now, before I go on to the domain configuration page, the final distinction I want you to see is between her site here that links to Hemingway Realtor, so it's not resolving to Barbara.Bradenton and Sarasota HomesForSearch.com. It'll always show Hemingway Realtor no matter where you click around in here. It's, you know, always going to show HemingwayRealtor.com, and that is achieved by using a technology called URL masking. So that basically means that this domain is pointing to a certain URL, a certain web address, but no matter what it shows in here, it is masked with this original domain name that is pointed. And so therefore, all somebody will ever see is HemingwayRealtor.com. And so if Barbara went here, for example, homes for sale in Bradenton Beach, and wanted to market that, you know, she couldn't use that URL here. She would want to use her subdomain. Now over here, Sarasota.HemingwayRealtor.com is not using URL masking, which is why it resolves to her subdomain. So again, Sarasota.HemingwayRealtor.com, it changes, it resolves to Barbara.BradentonSarasotaHomesearch.com /city FL blah blah blah. Now she could have set up her subdomain with URL masking, and then it wouldn't change. It would just show Sarasota.HemingwayRealtor.com, but she didn't, and that's okay. But just keep that in mind. That's the difference between the two. And now, of course, if she went back, you know, here to home, it's back under her domain. And if she went to Bradenton Beach, you know, you're going to see here's the quick search URL. If she wanted to promote that, BradentonBeachHomesForSale.com, she would use this URL to forward to that. Okay, so how do we make that work? How do we create these URL forwards? And again, as an agent, you at a minimum want to set up a bunch of different subdomains. So you have Sarasota.your domain going to one search, Bradenton.your domain going another search, and you can have in your email signature file, for example, you know, for homes for sale in Bradenton, click here, homes for sale in Sarasota, click here, and it'll go to that pre-configured search, and it'll always be up to date with the search results of listings actively for sale right now. Or you can make it look even better by having, you know, SarasotaHomesForSale.com, BradentonHomesForSale.com, Lakewood Ranch HomesForSale.com, and use URL masking. When somebody clicks on that, it'll always just say, you know, show that domain in the web browser, and create that, you know, visibility for you. So it's totally up to you. You can do both, and I'm going to walk you through now how to do that. And I'm going to do two things. I personally use two providers. I use active-domains.com, which uses a domain panel to manage your domains, and I also use GoDaddy. To be honest with you, GoDaddy is a little bit more tricky to manage your domain, to manage your DNS, but I'm going to show you both so you can see how to make this work. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to first of all show you in Active Domain how something is set up, and I'm going to go ahead and just pick a search from our main domain here, I'm going to go to BradentonSarasotaHomesearch.com, which is our main corporate domain. And I'm going to go ahead and let's go Braden Beach. And I'm just going to go ahead and copy and copy this URL. I'm going to just minimize this and bring a different browser window over. And over here I have our domain panel for active-domains.com, and here's AssecureRealtyPartners.com. And I've already set up a host name, www. And this @ symbol is a catch-all. So if somebody just types in Assecure Realty Partners without a www, it'll also go to this address here, BradentonSarasotaHomesearch.com. And it's set up as a URL frame. And one other thing that you can do when you set up as a URL frame, you can edit metadata, which you cannot do with just a pure forward. And that again also helps with search engine optimization. So here's going to go, I'm going to just put in beach, and I'm going to just copy and paste the URL that we just looked up for the search. Now, one thing with active domain, when you update the DNS information, when you set up a new domain forward or what have you not, it takes a little bit longer to update through the system. It can be sometimes 5, 10, 15, 20 minutes before it actually catches. Whereas with GoDaddy, it's more complicated, but it pretty much updates within a few seconds. So keep that in mind. If you use domain panel and you set something up, don't freak out if it doesn't work after 5 minutes. I would wait, 20 minutes, half an hour, and see if it works then. All right, so here I typed in the address, and then you have some options here. And the two things that we are concerned about is a URL redirect or a URL frame. The URL redirect will just redirect beach.assecurerealtypartners.com. So the subdomain is beach, so beach.assecurerealtypartners.com will just redirect to this URL, and that's where you're going to see the entire search string in the address window up here. If you use URL frame, then it's going to just show beach.assecurerealtypartners.com in the address bar, no matter where you're at in the site. So I'm going to set up URL frame here. I'm going to hit modify, and it should update here in just a couple of seconds. There we go. Those settings are updated. And we can enter metadata now, which I'm not going to bother doing. So we'll test this in a little bit and see how fast active domain is actually updating. Now, let's take a look at this one here, realtypartnersorlando.com. Now, we don't have a website for Orlando, but here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and just do a search. Here we go, city, or my keyword board does not want to cooperate right now. Happens sometimes. Let's try this again. Okay. Orlando. We got Orlando, Florida. And I'm going to search. So this is now anything. So we're part of MFR, and it shows 47 homes in Orlando, Florida, which obviously is not the entire feed. And we can let's add that to it. The problem with Orlando, of course, is that you have, other communities like Kissimmee and so forth. Come on. Let's do it again. Orlando. If we went by county, we would probably get the entire feed, but Orlando is just Orlando. It doesn't include Kissimmee or any of the other, you know, Winter Park, etc., etc. But anyhow, we got Orlando here. I'm not going to spend too much time building a complicated search. But so we have the search URL here. So I'm going to go ahead and copy it and go back here. And with realtypartnersorlando.com, I have not set up any kind of redirect yet. So if I were to type that domain name in right now, it would go to just the dummy page that GoDaddy has for any new domain that is registered. And I wanted to do this to take you through the whole process, how to set it up, because it's a little bit more complicated. So the first thing is, you know, domains are off under forwarding and subdomains are off forwarding, okay? So I'm going to click here and it says manage. Does again, manage. So it says here, you know, nothing is being forwarded, and we're going to add forwarding now. And I'm going to go ahead and right mouse click on this and open it in a new tab. And we're going to add come on, GoDaddy. Maybe it doesn't like the separate window. Let's do it here. All right. So here now, under forwarding, it asks, you know, where to forward it to. So I'm just going to go ahead and paste the URL in here, the entire search string, and I'm going to take out the HTTP because it already has it in the front. Very important. Make sure you don't take out one of the WWs and that there are no symbols left. And now here you have redirect types, permanent or temporary, and then forward settings, forward or with masking. So I'm going to do forwarding with masking. And then it gives you the ability here to put your metadata, like, you know, Orlando real estate for sale. Now, when we hover over here under little I, there are some specific information that you need to follow, or URL forwarding will not work with GoDaddy. It's very, very tricky. So I'm going to click here on Learn More in a new tab, because we need to set up some DNS settings in order to make it really work. Okay, so I'm going to hit Add here. So now the domain is forwarded, and I'm going to go to subdomain, and I'm also going to add a subdomain forwarding, and in this case I'm going to add www. Just to be sure, paste this in here as well, go to the very beginning. Make sure we have this here, make sure it's forward with masking. Orlando real estate for sale. Hit add, and now save. Okay, so it's going to take a little while until this here updates. So don't worry about that. It doesn't say, you know, it still shows off, but we're going to reload this page here in a minute and it'll show that. But now here we have manually forwarding or masking your domains. It has some additional information and gives you some examples, but it says here, very important, for your domain name to forward, its A record must be pointed to this IP address, 50.+63.201.1. And this can change based on your domain name and what server your domain is hosted at. So it may be a different IP address for you. So now I'm going to go into the DNS zone file here, and right now there's an A record pointing to a different IP address. So I'm going to go there, and I'm going to go ahead and point this to here. And save it. So now we have a host name pointing to this IP address that we were told it has to hit. Everything else we can just ignore, but these are the important settings. So let's go back here and reload this. Refresh. Okay, and we can see now the forwarding is set up to this long URL. And again, GoDaddy usually is much faster in their updates, so I'm just going to go ahead and give it a try. And I use an incognito window for that. And let's go to, what was that domain name again? Realty Partners Orlando.com. Realty Partners Orlando.com. Let's see what happens. Bingo. So it's forwarding to the search page that I had set up. And again, we could build a much, bigger search and add Kissimmee and Winter Haven and all the other things to it, or just do it with the zip codes, or just do it with Orange County. But it points. Now let's take a look at the other one that we set up with domain panel. It may or may not work yet. Beach.srqrealtypartners.com. Nope, it's working. It updated. So this is working as well. And as you can see, it is using the URL direct. It does not resolve to the search URL. And if I went ahead and clicked on home evaluations, I would still be within the same subdomain beach.srqrealtypartners.com. Whereas, on a search for beach property, it's really not that important. So, having sarasota.hemingwayrealtor.com resolve to the search address is okay in my mind, because if somebody's clicking around, they're looking for homes in Sarasota, and if they're going somewhere else, it's going to have, a different place. So anyhow, I hope this gave you an idea on how to use your virtual domains more effectively. And again, even if you have a domain, if you have, yourcityhomesearch.com registered as the main domain for your IDX website, you can still use additional domain names in your marketing to improve your search engine ranking. And if you use the URL masking, you can set up keywords and metadata and a site description for it. So really, use it to the best ability. And here, one example, just real quick, we have Orlando homes for sale up here. If I go to Realty Partners Orlando.com, you see now it shows Orlando real estate for sale up here. So it is whatever you type in as the title, and I typed in as the title Orlando real estate for sale. That's what will show up there. And also when you use it in your marketing and advertise that URL, and it gets indexed by Google and Bing and these other search engines, having that metadata in there will give you organic visibility as well. So very important, especially when you're creating links that you are then using for pay-per-click marketing or to put on blogs or other places. So using a domain forward with URL masking, where you can set the metadata, meaning the title and the keywords and so forth in the description, will greatly deliver much better results in the long term. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you taking the time. My name again is Thomas Hyman, founder and CEO of Realty Partners. My passion is to help agents make more money and be more successful. And so please subscribe to our YouTube channels. Follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/Realty Partners LLC. If you have any questions or need any help, please feel free to just drop me a line. I'll be happy to help in any way I can. And thanks so much for tuning in and sharing this half hour with me. Bye-bye.